Valarie, thank you for accepting to speak to us. Now, let's go back to 12 April in Ramona, because that was really amazing. Huge improvement on your PB, NACAC record, but also number 5 of all time. So that must have been, pretty exciting.
It was, yeah. I've been really looking forward to going to Ramona, Oklahoma. Being an American, this meet has been slowly getting traction over the last maybe 3 to 4 years. And to have known that there had been about 50 athletes that had gone and seen these massive improvements, I felt excited to go and see what my moment could be like being there. And in a sport where our history is a bit complex, of these throws being done almost 40 years ago, of really writing our history and setting a standard, it's so exciting to have a place that celebrates discus and is making it possible to break some of those barriers that haven't been touched in a very long time. So it was amazing to see the discus fly as long as it did, and it definitely generated some excitement for me of what I think can even be done to be a bit farther there. But so much of it is learning to adapt to the wind and the environment, which is so different than any of the other big competitions that we face on the circuit.
Exactly. So what makes it special? Because from what I've seen, it's basically a big open field.
Yes.
And you can take advantage of these winds that blow there regularly in this time of the year.
Absolutely, yeah. When you get there, it is exactly that. You're on these small roads, and then just off to the left, there's this field with 4 discus cages. There's a pasture of cows right next to it. It is as simple as it can be, but it is designed with such beautiful intent. Oklahoma is known for these rolling winds that blow through, and they're steady and they're consistent, and they're ideally strong to be able to fly the discus on them. So they've really done a beautiful job of being able to position the rings based on the direction of the wind. And you get there, and the skill becomes down to being able to navigate that.
Now, we were talking the other day about just how humongous is your performance, because I always compare using the scoring tables, because that's the tool that we have.
Yeah.
And your mark is worth only 1 point, 1,321, less than the latest world record by Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone that everybody's raving about.
Yeah.
And in fact, only 5 world records have a higher score than your performance. But a lot of people don't realize just how huge is that mark.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was impressed and honored to learn that actually from you. But it's very cool that there's something in track and field to be able to compare event to event. I love that within track and field there's almost this circus feel when you go to a competition that in one corner something is happening. There's this race, and then there's a jump, and that's the beauty of the magic and the energy kind of all coming together. But at the end of the day, it is really special to be able to credit someone with a genius performance. And when you watch Sydney run and she finishes at the line meters before her competitors, you have an appreciation for that. But sometimes it's hard in the field events that each person does their thing one at a time. So even to compare to your field, or especially to compare to other events, it can be challenging. So it's very special to be able to be in the ranks of some of these other athletes that I've deeply admired, and motivating to want to continue to push myself and push my event.
So you first broke the 70-meter barrier in 2020. One competition, it was during the COVID pandemic. So how did that feel on that? I think it was August 1st.
Yes, it was. That was honestly one of those moments for me that will always stand out in my journey as an athlete. I mean, during the pandemic, I was so crushed when the Olympics got postponed. That was the first time I was trying to become an Olympian, and I was looking forward to that. And to have the journey be so changed was difficult, but it was the ultimate blessing, I think, in so many ways, that helped me fall back in love with my sport, to have no competitions and just fall back in love with the training and understanding my technique, and to have this one meet pop up in Idaho and to be able to break 70 meters, for us a huge barrier. It really gave me a lot of confidence and momentum going forward. And it was so special because August 1st was the day that the Olympics would have been had they not been canceled. So it felt like there was something serendipitous and really meaningful about that I carried into the next year.
Wow. And ever since then, you've been regularly over 70 meters all the years. And I don't think I can think of anybody of late who's been that consistent at the top level.
Thank you. Yeah, we've it's definitely a thing that we do focus on, and we try to set as kind of the standard. I mean, 70 meters will win any competition. There's other than in Ramona, there's never been a competition where multiple athletes have thrown over 70. So I believe that several of my competitors can obviously do it, but if you're at that type of level, you're setting yourself up in a great position to be the most competitive. So it's definitely a team effort between my fiance and I to continue to hone our craft and figure out the ways that we can push our strength and technique and power. So I'm really grateful to be able to do it with someone that is just so intentionally thoughtful to be able to help me be at my best.
Let's talk a little bit about the throws in general, about women U.S. throwers, because in the last few years you've really been almost taking over, which is something which was absolutely unheard of years ago. When you won your first World Championship medal, it was the first time a U.S. athlete had medaled. And now there are, I mean, obviously you're a double Olympic champion, Lolaga is the current world champion, but also in the shot put. Chase is the number one ranked athlete. Hammer throw, you have very good throwers there. The javelin is a little bit behind, but still Maggie Malone is ranked number 7. So, you know, you have very, very strong female U.S. throwers. What changed? How did this come about? Because I say it really wasn't the case 10 or more years ago.
Yeah, you know, I think a lot of it is there's kind of these waves of the next generation coming in. I credit Deanna Price with being, to me, the first person that I viewed as a peer that was really able to break through this like international barrier when she won gold in Doha in 2019. And I really was inspired by that, and I think in the U.S., we don't really train together ever as athletes. Everyone is allowed to be with whatever facility or coach, wherever they want in the U.S., and then once you make the team is the only time you really are together. So I think there's definitely something special about all of us being able to be competitive at the same time. I think it's being celebrated, which feels really special, and it's definitely something that needs to be done with field events, and especially the throwing events, of continuing to put them into the spotlight and showcase them, because there's becoming such a fractured space within track and field, and you really have to perform. And I think that that's one of the things that throwers do absolutely the best is we go to all the competitions. We are always at putting on high level marks and doing our best to give a great performance and not cherry pick or not just do a couple when we feel good, but to always be competing and going up against the best of the best. So to have that kind of be the force of what Americans are doing is really necessary, but it is also very special.
And talking about throwing events, do you think that events like Ryan Krauser's World Shot Put Series can bring something new which can help make the throws more popular?
Yeah, I do. I think like all sports, there's times for adaptation to make them more interesting, to make them more exciting. And what Ryan is doing with the World Shot Put Series, I think, is a great attempt at that. And to see the response from fans, from the athletes who participated in it, it seemed like it went incredibly well. And while as an athlete, it might feel funny to not leave with a finite result. If it creates a better experience and is creating more demand, then maybe it is time to continue to figure out how we shift some of these dynamics. I've always felt like with discus, do we need a 20-foot cage surrounding the athlete? Is there a way to make it more visually appealing? Can we draw the crowd in more? Is there a way to do it with smaller fields so it feels more head-to-head? There's less time or lulls between the athletes or rounds. So I think it's good that this is happening and giving people ways to be introspective of how things can adapt, because I think that is what track and field is doing. It is adapting, so you have to figure out how to be part of that.
Yes, I do think the cage is a bit of an issue with the discus. Shot put, you can see them.
Yeah, it's so
but
helpful.
Discus is harder.
Yeah, it is, and I think there's 180 degrees where you don't need a net. No one throws out the back half, you know, so figuring out how that you can make it more accessible to the crowd, I think would be really, really great.
Now, what makes a perfect throw?
Oh, that's the ultimate question. I think it's having kind of that moment where everything comes together. It's elegant, it's balanced, it's strong, it's powerful, it's chaotic, and you have to be able to figure out within a second and a half how to make it all come together. You can't try too hard, you can't not try enough, but I think that is the magic of it, is your best throws feel this intentional effortlessness to them, and it's so special when that clicks, when you feel like you finally hit it. It's what makes you become obsessed with chasing it. So it's I've never had my perfect throw. I don't think I ever will, but it's definitely one of those elusive things that I'm always going to love chasing.
And where are the areas that you think you can still improve?
Yeah, I think so much of discus is a physics problem, and it's your ability to apply force into the discus. So I think when I hit the middle, I love to kind of pull off of the throw rather than staying in that max taut position. So figuring out how to continue to move across the ring, holding all of that potential power is really what I need to keep working on.
So you always get asked, because it's a little strange, your path to the discus, but how did you get there?
It is a funny story. Growing up, dance was always my love. And when I got to high school, it really become my whole life. I was dancing 6 days a week, and there was a show called So You Think You Can Dance at the time, and I got picked to travel with those choreographers and go to cities all around the U.S. So during the week, I would be a normal student, and then on the weekend, I would get to travel. But my brother, he was a pole vaulter, he was a few years older, and he said, Val, you should really do something that's part of the school. So he convinced the track coach to let me join, and right from the get-go, it was so much fun, but nothing really clicked. I tried running and high jump, and I was really enjoying being part of a team, but it was only when the throwers had their annual spaghetti dinner that something about that got me. I wanted to go to this dinner, so I went and tried discus and just found that I kind of had a knack for it. My brain thought of the movement as choreography of how I moved across the ring and finished the throw. And I loved it. I loved that there was something so finite about it, that you could work hard, you could measure your progress, and it really just took off from there.
And what do you feel when you're getting into the ring, spinning and then releasing the discus?
Yeah, it feels like, I don't know how to describe it actually. There's so much intent and preparation you do to have that moment where it does all come together. So figuring out how to control your mind, your adrenaline, your nerves, and be able to store that in your body and then release it so fast is kind of what, to me, it normally feels like all this potential energy just chaotically coming out. And I love it. It's so much about figuring out how to control that or tame it, and be able to channel it how you want, which is why I love coming to the Diamond League meets. They're so exciting that you get these head-to-head rivalries. You get so much of that tension, and being able to use it and hopefully use it for good is one of the best feelings.
And other than the discus, what is your favorite athletics event?
Oh boy. I really love watching pole vault. I think it's my appreciation of technique and what goes into working on such a specific craft. I mean, when you watch pole vaulters, you see all of that in motion, and especially as that bar keeps going up, you have such an appreciation for everything that goes into it.
And in Lausanne, where they do the street,
Yeah.
it's so amazing because when you're up in the tribune, you don't realize.
Yeah.
And when you're right under the uprights, you're looking up to say, hell, this is really high.
Yes.
And you see all the acrobatics and everything. It's great.
It's beautiful. Yeah,
Yes.
I love that.
And outside athletics, what is the thing that you enjoy the most?
I love trying to live like a grounded life. I think my home life has become my sanctuary with my partner, and we have 2 boys, and whether that's cooking or walking our dog or just trying to find ways to enjoy the peace and comfort of home has been really great. So I love valuing that with the dichotomy of the challenge and the strain and the push of always wanting to try to be my best in this other sphere of my life. And I'm grateful that the two can balance each other.
And that also balances all the traveling that you do, which is, it's exciting on one hand, it's interesting, but then you need the home part to ground you.
You do, yeah. And then I think that's what, it makes you appreciate both sides, the experiences that come from traveling the world and pushing yourself and being in such intense spaces, and also the peace and joy that comes from being in a space where you're seen as a human and not an athlete, is given me a great appreciation for life.
Thank you so much,
Yeah,
Valarie.
thank you.